Your heating bill is sweating. Meanwhile, an 800-year-old structure, built without electricity, insulation foam, or smart thermostats, stays naturally cosy through brutal winters. No furnace, no modern tech, just raw human ingenuity and a deep understanding of how heat actually behaves. And here's the kicker. Some of the same principles quietly influence survival shelters and military structures all the way into World War II. Old knowledge, serious swagger. Let's get into it. Thick walls that act like a thermal battery. Modern homes try to stop heat from escaping. Medieval builders played a longer game. They stored heat. Those ancient stone walls were often over a metre thick. That mass doesn't just block wind, it absorbs warmth during the day and releases it slowly at night. Think of it like a rechargeable heat bank. Sunlight hits the walls, fireplaces warm the interior, even body heat adds up. The stone drinks in that energy and feeds it back for hours after the fire dies down. Concrete bunkers in World War II used the same principle. Massive walls stabilized interior temperatures, keeping spaces from freezing at night or overheating during the day. Thermal mass isn't flashy, but it's powerful. Modern drywall and thin insulation can't compete with, literal tons of heat storage surrounding you. Small windows placed with purpose. You love big panoramic windows. Medieval builders would call that a heat leak with a view. Old structures use small, deeply set windows, often angled to capture low winter sunlight while blocking harsh winds. The deep window recess reduced drafts and created pockets where cold air slowed down before entering the room. South-facing openings were gold. Even weak winter sun provides free heat. Stone around the window absorbed that warmth and radiated it inside long after sunset. Fast forward to World War II airfields and command posts. Designers carefully positioned openings to manage light, visibility and heat retention. It wasn't just about defense. It was about staying functional in freezing conditions. Orientation mattered then. It still matters now. Fireplaces that actually heated the building. Early fireplaces were inefficient smoke monsters. But by the 1200s, builders had evolved smarter designs. Central hearths improved chimney drafts, and later enclosed fireboxes helped push warm air into the living space instead of straight up the chimney. Some buildings even had primitive flue channels built into walls, allowing heat to travel before escaping. That warmed stone surfaces, turning walls into radiators. This idea echoes Roman hypocaust systems from centuries earlier, where warm air moved under floors and through walls. Variations of heat channeling reappeared in fortified structures much later, including insulated command bunkers during World War II that routed heat from generators through occupied rooms. When heat touches mass before leaving, comfort skyrockets. Layered interiors that trapped warmth. Step inside one of these old buildings and you wouldn't see bare stone. You'd see layers. Heavy fabric wall hangings reduced drafts and added insulation. Wooden panelling created an air gap between cold stone and living space. Even straw or rushes on the floor added a soft insulating layer that slowed heat loss through the ground. Air trapped between layers is a powerful insulator. It's actually the same physics used in modern double-pane windows and, in winter clothing too. During the World War II, soldiers in cold climates used layered materials in barracks and bunkers, wood fabric and even paper, to trap air and hold warmth. The principle never changed. Still air equals stored heat. Those medieval rooms weren't primitive. They were engineered cocoons. So, compact room design really helped conserve heat. Big open floor plans might look fantastic on camera, but honestly, they're just terrible when it comes to staying warm. In older buildings, interiors were divided into smaller chambers with low ceilings. That meant there was less air volume, so not as much space to heat. The warmth from people, animals and fire stayed concentrated, instead of just drifting away into a huge empty space. Doorways were narrow and hallways were short. Curtains or wooden doors separated spaces, stopping warm air from escaping. It was a simple solution, but, it worked. Military field hospitals and underground command centres in World War II often followed similar logic. Compact compartments were easier to keep warm with limited fuel. Less space, more comfort. Simple math. Living heat sources. Here's something modern houses don't have. Built-in biological heaters. In many old structures, animals were kept in lower levels. Their body heat naturally rose into living quarters above. A single cow produces as much heat as several space heaters. Add sheep, goats and humans, and the building becomes a living radiator system. Not glamorous. Extremely effective. Even in World War II winter encampments, shared shelters conserved warmth from body heat alone. Crowded conditions weren't just about space, they were about survival. Heat is heat. Medieval builders didn't waste any source of it. Smart roofing that stopped heat loss. Heat rises. Medieval builders knew it long before thermodynamics had a name. Roofs were thick, often layered with wood, packed earth or thatch. That mass slowed heat escape while also blocking wind infiltration. Some northern structures even used sod roofing, which added insulation and extra thermal weight. The result was a lid that kept warmth trapped inside instead of bleeding into the sky. Later, military structures used earth-covered roofing for similar reasons. Soil is an excellent insulator and temperature stabilizer. Bunkers buried under earth stayed surprisingly moderate in extreme climates. What looks old-fashioned is actually physics doing heavy lifting. The real secret is balance, not brute force. Here's the twist. Those buildings didn't rely on one trick. They stacked multiple passive systems that, worked together. Thermal mass stored heat, small windows captured sunlight, layered interiors trapped warm air. Compact layouts reduced heat demand, roofs prevented loss. Every piece supported the others. That synergy is why an 800-year-old structure can honestly feel warmer than a modern house with poor design and a struggling heater. World War II engineers rediscovered many of these principles under pressure. When fuel was scarce and survival really mattered, passive heat control became mission-critical again. Old builders weren't just guessing. They were observing, adapting, and, perfecting their methods over generations. So, why does this still matter today? Well, energy costs are rising, and winters are getting more extreme in many regions. And, modern construction often ignores passive heating wisdom that worked for centuries. You don't need medieval walls, but orientation, thermal mass, airtight layering and smart room design still beat cranking the thermostat honestly. The past solved problems we're still dealing with today. We just wrap the answers in stone instead of steel. And that's the kind of forgotten engineering genius we live for here. If you love uncovering the hidden science behind historical survival, wartime innovation, and old-school brilliance that still outperforms modern tech, hit subscribe, share this with a fellow history fan, and keep the 0 Hour World War II community growing strong.